What are some effective, non-forcing conversation starters? Here are a few excellent, impromptu conversation starters I came up with for myself to avoid awkward situations and have enjoyable discussions. All of these prevent awkward silences like the ones I once had with Laura, and they might do the same for you. 1. Are you new to this place? I still recall the first time I met Marta, who is currently one of my closest friends. She is John's girlfriend. John is one of my close friends. We met that day at John's house. We had dinner later at a Japanese restaurant in the city. John left us alone for a little while so he could answer a crucial phone. I was asked whether this was my first time by Marta before I had a chance to formulate a question to start a conversation. This straightforward query marked the start of a very pleasant discussion about some of the best Japanese eateries in the area. This is a terrific question since you can always ask it without feeling awkward, unless you are positive that the person in front of you has previously been somewhere. You may continue the discourse by posing these questions. If they say yes, you might follow up with, "And do you like it here so far?" When someone else claims to have been there, you can respond, "Nice. Could you perhaps assist me with selecting a meal?" Such a question keeps the discussion continuing by allowing the other person to automatically, without even having to think, ask you what kinds of things you like and don't like. 2. Do you enjoy yourself? Being able to ask it of anyone, in any circumstance, makes it one of the best and most impromptu conversation starters. It also helps you break the ice. Additionally, anything pertaining to the location or circumstance may be included following this question. You may remark, for instance, "I've always loved outdoor venues like this, where you can meet up with your friends, eat something, and also play mini-golf," when the other person responds. You may continue the discourse by posing these questions. If the other individual claims they aren't having fun, you might just inquire about their preferred events. Or, "What do you want to be doing right now? What is your favorite kind of event, social gathering?" Is a question you can ask if the other person says they are having fun. 3. Do you reside in this city? This is one of my favorite interview questions because you can use it with practically anyone, with the exception of people you already know the address of. The day we first met, Marta also questioned me about this. After informing her that I lived a few blocks from John, I inquired as to her address. At least 20 minutes were spent discussing our local areas. In other words, a simple "Do you reside here in town?" started a wonderful, lengthy conversation. You may continue the discourse by posing these questions. Does your family also live in this town? Is a nice follow-up query you can use following this icebreaker. You can inquire, "Does your family live with you?" if the other individual doesn't reside in the community. It's a fantastic approach to maintain the dialogue. You may also inquire, "Have you always lived here in this situation?" You might also inquire, "Where did you live before?" depending on their response. In other words, it's simple to strike up a discussion by inquiring about someone's home and roommates. When people inquire about how they met, they are usually delighted to share the narrative that I enjoyed listening to. Follow-up inquiries. In this situation, asking the other person to elaborate is an excellent strategy to keep the conversation going. You may add, "That sounds so funny, please tell me more," as an example. Since it's not as unusual as you might assume, you might hear from some people who say they met at work. In this situation, you might inquire, "Did you work in the same team or department?" 5. Are you now engaged in any intriguing projects? I recently gave this a try, and I believe it to be a decent conversation opener. I had supper with Maria, a friend, and Carla, her cousin, a few months ago. It was my second encounter with Carla. She had previously revealed to me that she was a human resources manager and that she cherished her position. So I figured asking her about her profession would be a decent way to start a discussion. I inquired as to whether she was engaged in any intriguing projects. She discussed a diversity and inclusion project she was in charge of in her business with me. If you think about it, most people either work or study, so a question like, "Are you working on anything fascinating at the moment?" is a terrific approach to start an intriguing conversation with just about everyone. Follow-up inquiries. How long have you been working on it for example, are some interesting follow-up queries here. Moreover, was it your idea? 6. What do you do for a living? This is a fantastic question to ask a new acquaintance, but avoid asking it right away because it is fairly blunt. You can ask it later on. Additionally, this is a terrific way to rapidly learn more about the person you are speaking to. People love to ask "what do you do?" in response, so be sure to have a captivating answer ready. You can have difficulties and your life doesn't have to be a bed of flowers, but always remember that whether or not others will want to get to know you depends on how you talk about them and turn the conversation toward them. Follow-up inquiries. And would you like to progress in your organization? Try to apply for a promotion. Is a fantastic follow-up query you can pose to persons who are employed. It's an effective method to nudge someone into discussing their objectives and aspirations. Additionally, if you're speaking to a student, you can inquire about their plans for the future by asking them if they intend to enroll in graduate school, continue their education, or get a PhD. Saying something as straightforward as "interesting, tell me more," is another excellent technique to keep the discussion continuing in this situation. You'll have more possibilities to follow up on strong talking points when you actively listen to the other person and exhibit a sincere interest in what they have to say, according to an article in Psychology Today that explains this. 7. How was your day or week? The best conversation openers are those that don't come off as artificial or forced. And these are frequently connected to the environment. One of the best ways to start a conversation with someone is to ask them how their day or week went. Typically, the response is something like, "Oh, it was very excellent, how about yours?" Explain how your day or week was, what you did, and ask a follow-up question if you want to continue the conversation. Just be careful not to make the talk about you alone. Follow-up inquiries. It's fantastic to hear that your week was good. What did you do is a suitable response in this situation. You might simply say, "I'm sorry to hear that, what happened?" If the other person has already disclosed that their day or week has not been wonderful. Do you want to discuss it? 8. What are your thoughts on choose the subject? Don't pick something haphazard, be particular, and pick something current that you both are aware of. For instance, what do you think about what's going on at Julia's company? Have you heard that many staff are being let go? Alternatively, how do you feel about the new mayor? What do you think of Valerie and Mark splitting up is another illustration. Additionally, asking someone their perspective might actually help you make a positive impression, as Francesca Gino argues in an essay that was published on Scientific American. According to Gino, advice seekers might get insightful information and tickle the advisor's ego by asking them to give their personal point of view. Follow-up inquiries. Here, you might ask follow-up questions, such as why, to nudge the other person into clarifying their thoughts. Alternately, you may say something like, "Really? Please elaborate." 9. How did X turn out? My employer gave me the chance to visit Seattle 2 years ago so that I could attend a conference on diversity and inclusion. I informed my pals about this chance before I left. Charlotte, one of my friends, asked me in a pub when I returned from Seattle, "So, how did the conference go? How did Seattle suit you?" I so briefly described to her the incredible experience I had. She then described to me a business trip to Hong Kong that she had taken. The chat, which lasted almost an hour, was cordial. Very good. Additionally, starting a discussion by simply asking, "How did it go?" is always a good idea because the other person probably has something to say. Additionally, you can continue the discussion by posing follow-up queries or drawing parallels with your own actions. Follow-up inquiries. How many people were present in this instance would be a nice follow-up query. Another smart move is to inquire as to the location and the timing of the upcoming event. 10. Have you recently spoken to name of a common friend? If you and the person you're speaking to have a friend in common, this is a terrific question to put to them. It won't be easy to run out of discussion subjects if you share friends with other people. I regularly use this one since it makes it very simple to maintain a discussion. Follow-up inquiries. When was the last time you saw or spoke to your common friend if the other person hasn't heard from them recently? If your friend's message was received by the other party, you can follow up with further queries like, "How are they doing?" in addition to "How long have you known them?" 11. Where did you get your outfit, bracelet, earrings, and shoes? Usually, this works out perfectly between ladies. However, it can also function rather well amongst guys. You may congratulate a guy on his shoes, for instance, for their clothes, etc., even for their watch or phone. Follow-up inquiries. Here are some excellent follow-up queries. Cool. Do you frequently shop there or use that website? Do you generally enjoy watches, purses, and shoes? Can you suggest a reputable store where I can buy a lovely watch? 12. How is your soup, salad, or tacos? If you are in a restaurant, a wonderful question to ask the other person is whether they currently like what they are eating. It sounds really natural and like a very spontaneous query. You can also ask them about how much they enjoy their beverage. Follow-up inquiries. Is that your favorite dish? Might be an excellent follow-up query here. Also, do you frequently order it? You might follow up with, so, what is your favorite food or drink, if they respond that they don't enjoy what they are eating or drinking. Or you may ask, what would you want to eat or drink? Final reflections. To be a successful conversationalist, you don't need a list of 100 questions. Knowing a few solid conversation openers and knowing how to use them can help you connect with others, get to know them better, and avoid awkward silence in many circumstances. However, the greatest method to have nice conversations is to select inquiries that are pertinent to the situation you are in, seem natural, and are combined with follow-up inquiries that demonstrate your interest in other people's viewpoints. Additionally, Susan Krauss-Whitborn, Ph.D., discusses in Psychology Today that on occasion, it's crucial to pay attention to whether the other person wants to end the conversation. You sometimes need to know when to close as well as to open in order to be a better discussion partner. Summary of effective conversation starters that sound natural. Are you a new visitor to this place? Do you enjoy yourself? Do you reside in this city? How did you first connect with the mutual friend? Are you currently engaged in any interesting projects? What kind of work do you do? How was your day or week? What are your thoughts on choose the topic? What about your trip, concert, movie, etc.? Have you recently spoken with the name of a common friend? Where did you acquire your outfit, bracelet, earrings, and shoes? How is your soup, salad, or tacos? They can also be utilized to maintain a discussion. You'll notice that these have a tendency to be open-ended questions, which will enable you to find some intriguing solutions. Which movie do you prefer to watch? Which dish do you prefer? What hobbies do you have when you have time off? Exists a holy morning ritual for you? What do you often do first thing in the morning? Which of your past actions was the wildest? There isn't a wrong answer, so don't worry. Which of these annoys you the most? The worst movie you've ever seen, what is it? If you were stranded on a desert island, what would you bring? There are 4 options available.